right, good afternoon, everybody. Doc Severson here, ready, set, crypto, and we got Mav over there as well too.
Hello, hello.
Good afternoon, everybody. How's everybody doing, and where are you coming in from? NFT coverage. All right,
Mm-hmm.
guys, let us know where you're coming in from today, and we'll get started here while we blow out the pipes. What are you seeing happening in crypto today, Mav? What's on your radar?
We're starting to retest some highs. Maybe we'll see 60,000 Bitcoin not too long here. Yeah, I think we've had a little bit of a pump in the brakes, but it's time to see things start moving upwards. Yeah.
Yeah, we're starting to break out. All right, so who we got here? We got Ontario, Miami, Maryland, Colorado, Ireland, Cleveland, London, Sydney, Australia, New York City, Tennessee. We got Vod from Greenville, Pensacola, Arizona. Outstanding. All right. Welcome aboard, everybody. We have a very busy show for you here. Mav, I'm sure you've got a few things you want to talk about. Once you get finished, I've got a little primer on options because of many, many, many requests from what we talked about last week. So without further ado, welcome aboard, everybody. Great to see you. And I'm going to give you Sir Mav over there.
Alrighty. Yeah. Welcome, everybody. Glad to have you here. And yeah, it should be kind of a short show today, but I think right where we are right now and where crypto is going, it's the time to, buy the F dip and, look to acquire some more before we head higher. Everything's on sale. So to me, it's an opportune time. It's a, target rich environment. And specifically, one sector that I'm seeing kind of emerge right now and some, really spicy action happening is, as some people were alluding to, yes, you've probably heard about NFTs by now. But what you might not have heard about is NFT FI, or the combination of NFTs and DeFi, and starting to take some of this decentralized finance, lending and insurance and all these other really cool things that DeFi has been working on, and combining it with the sort of tokenized aspects of the NFT space. This is where I see some really hot action happening over the next couple of months. And I don't see too many people talking about it right now. So hopefully this is the first time you're hearing about it. And we'll go into a couple projects that I'm watching that are exemplifying this sort of NFT FI space. So if you'd like to follow along with me, in the bio below, I think it's the second link that we've got with the thumb or the finger pointing to it. You can get free access to the spreadsheet that I'm about to go over. Come join our new service, Ready Set That Vision, where we're hosting these. And yeah, happy to give this away because, as I usually say, I don't have any vested interest in the coins or tokens or projects that I'm about to talk about. I'm only here to just show you some really cool stuff, talk about some really exciting directions the crypto space is going in, and yeah, maybe just help you find some new opportunities, but also some new opportune areas of the space. So again, for those just joining or who didn't hear me, the link is in the bio below. That's where you can follow along with me, because if you can't read the text or if you're on your phone or something like that, just go to that and maybe put me in the background or something like that. Who knows? All right, cool. Let's dig in. Not a whole lot of projects today. I want to keep it nice and short and sweet. So we're only looking at 6, but yeah, some of these you might have heard of, or some of these, maybe you've been around the block a little bit. But yeah, what we're looking for, again, for those who just tuned in or didn't hear me the first time, we're looking at NFTs plus DeFi. This is a really hot new space. It's really nascent in its approach. Things are still kind of being defined. The rules are still being made up, but I think there's a lot of potential here. I think this is crypto at its best, when we are just coming up with crazy ideas and seeing what sticks. So obviously there's going to be a lot of volatility on this kind of new sort of approach. Mad scientists are running this kind of stuff. But that's where opportunity is. That if you're looking to make speculative, high risk, high reward kind of plays, this is where you do it. You look for these new branching avenues of opportunity, of just cool things happening in the space. And to me, this is one of the best ones, if not the best one right now today. So just quickly going to go over these again. If you want to dig into each one of these in more depth, the spreadsheet is in the bio below. So go there if you want to check out these projects. I've linked to all of their websites here, and as well as their CoinGecko market links here. So if you're looking on like, hey, where do I trade these things? How do I learn more about them? Well, there you go. There's some nice links for that. But yeah, generally what these guys are doing, what these projects are doing kind of across the board is they're looking to take NFTs, which are non-fungible tokens. Think about, maybe tokenized art is where, some of the focus has been, but eventually we're going to see a lot more built out of the NFT space. Because again, this is about digital scarcity in the form of something, semi-tangible like art, or, maybe we could eventually talk about things like digital real estate, or that's why Mana decentralized has been blowing up recently. Or we could talk about, bridging the world between physical and digital, like having a digital representation of a physical asset. Just lots of really interesting ideas coming out of the NFT space right now. So combining the NFTs with DeFi, which has obviously been on fire for the last year or so. And that's where you see guys like Yield is Yearn is a kind of legacy DeFi project. They were one of the first that kind of did some of this yield farming stuff. And now they're bridging into doing insurance contracts on NFTs, starting to make some of this connection between the DeFi, what DeFi does best, and what is really caught fire in the NFT space right now. So stuff like that, or a Rarible, which we talked about last week. They're doing, unique digital items, kind of a marketplace for that. And they're going to be building in some of the, more market centric aspects of DeFi. Or we could also talk about NFTX, which is actually more of an index fund. So they're taking lots of these NFTs and they're kind of bundling them together, and you're basically trading a tracked fund on that. So that's really cool because that what lets you get exposure to the NFT space and all the craziness going on around it without having so much risk exposure in any one single NFT, or just kind of being too granular in this lets you spread out the risk in a very risk on space. So pretty cool. Digo, I think if nothing else, definitely go check out their website, because this is probably one of the coolest I've ever seen. They've mocked it up like a Windows 98 terminal, and their whole joke here is that DeFi is money blocks, or rather, DeFi is money Legos. Okay, so you're kind of putting these blocks together, and so that's what Digo, I guess, stands for, is decentralized or DeFi finance. Like Legos. All right, maybe over explaining that there, but what they're trying to do is essentially work to build the protocols that are connecting the NFT and DeFi space. So there's a lot of really cool stuff there. They're building off of Polkadot, which for those who've been watching us before, you know that I'm a big fan of, or a really big fan of the projects that are getting built out of the Polkadot ecosystem right now. So this is really cool. I think they're doing really awesome stuff. And again, go check out their website. It's just really fun to poke around in. Some of the other ones that are kind of blowing up right now are Unifty. Yeah, making sure I pronounce that right. Again, it's another one of these hubs for NFT projects. You can do some marketplace stuff on it, but you can also do some farming aspects with this project as well. So this is building in some of the stuff that obviously last summer was a big trend, big craze in the DeFi space with yield farming. So being able to do that with NFTs is just a crazy concept. I'm not even really sure how it works. I'm going to be definitely digging into this one a little bit more, but it's just a really cool concept to be able to be combining some of these really hot trends right now in the crypto space and seeing what's going on, where we can take it. And lastly, I want to talk about Polyant Games. So this is more kind of where NFTs got their start, and where we've seen some of the original, I guess, ethos of DeFi was around, this sort of ownership of game tokens and being able to trade things in between games, and or having some sort of blockchain based currency that is for some sort of game or game interface. So that's what these guys are doing, is they're building a game, but they're also using NFTs and DeFi and all this stuff to kind of take their game to the next level, kind of go into this new Web3 direction with the way that they're promoting and building features into their game set. So just really cool across the board. Hopefully this gave you a nice little subsection of this really interesting, brand new, totally crazy hot space that is emerging out of the crypto muck, if you will. And I think there's a lot to like about it. So yeah, definitely pay attention to NFT Fi. I think it's going to be one of those kind of buzzwords that's going to be thrown around a lot more in the coming days. But yeah, right now it's all about NFTs. I know that from like you probably can't go anywhere in the crypto space right now without hearing about them. So to me, this is the kind of next iteration, the evolution beyond that. And I think the opportunity is for those who want to get in early on where things are eventually, hopefully going. So going to take a little bit break here, but yeah, before we jump over to Doc, let's see if I have any questions or things to comment on. Throw on the spectacles here. VR crypto, very cool. Yes, Doc and I were just talking about this the other day of like being able to go into VR with something like Decentraland and have like digital real estate, right? Because we're all sitting inside, we're all, hopefully that doesn't last forever, but this idea that there's going to be digital real estate or digital ownership of a digital entity, be that equity or real estate or whatever, and then expressing it through like VR and AR kind of aspects, just really interesting, cool ideas. Still don't know where that's going to go, but it's really cool to check out. Yeah, well, if they're all up 100% over the last 30 days, and yet there's still market cap number 800 or something like that, I'm sorry, that's still an opportune project, okay? Because we're talking about like micro cap right there. So its volatility is going to be going all over the place. So I'm not going to say that it's you're the first in the door or anything like that, but there's definitely still time to get into a project that is well outside the top 100. To me, that's still an opportune time to get in and helps risk manage a little bit more. But that's up to you. That's your own strategy. If you want to stay away from those kind of projects, by all means. What is the symbol NFT? So it's sort of sectors, right? It's DeFi, which is decentralized finance. It's NFTs, non-fungible tokens. So we're just cramming together like as many buzzwords as possible, right? Which is, so tech. NFT Fi is the space, right? So it's not a ticker. All the tickers that of the projects I just covered are in the spreadsheet, which is in the bio below. For those just joining or wanted to kind of recap on what I just talked about or go investigate those projects, bio below, check out the spreadsheet, and come sign up for our brand new service as well. It's free to join. Cool. All right. So, Doc, I think I'll turn it over to you to start talking more about the markets overall and where is Bitcoin and the crypto space going?
Okay, so I understand that I am between you and an adult beverage. So I'm in the way of an adult beverage. So I'm going to make this relatively fast here. I'm going to just drag over a quick little death by PowerPoint because we started talking about options last week and I went through it really quickly and I'm going to go through this really, really fast today. So if you don't understand any of the concepts in here, go ahead and watch the video again or slow it down or speed it up, whatever you got to do, right? So here we go. So we had talked about using options last week because these are working so damn well right now. And it's difficult to figure out where to get the dip, where to add or anything like that. And we don't want you guys to be aping into positions. So we're using options as kind of a conversion machine between crypto to turn your US dollars or fiat into crypto. So for those of you that are Omnium members, watch the 17 May 2019 Trade School. So in that, I'm not going to go into what we suggested back there. So today, I just want to go over a more focused application of what to do and what not to do with options if you want to accumulate more BTC. Who doesn't right now, right? So I want you to think of options as your vehicle to convert dollars to Bitcoin. It's a conversion machine because of the way that we use options. Okay, so first, what not to do with options is use them as a leveraged spot substitute. Not a good idea. So a lot of traders think they get introduced to options, think of using a call option as a leverage spot substitute, or you can control 1 BTC of spot currency by purchasing this cheaper call option, right? This is always the first way that people get introduced to options. So it's like a contract to buy at some point in the future. So here is something I took off of Deribit today. So we can, for the 30 April options that are out there, we can say for the current price of, say, roughly 56,000, we can control the gains and losses of 1 BTC. So instead of paying 56,000, we can pay 9,700 for that, and we can control that for the next 50 days. So we can get the gains and losses of 1 BTC for that. Well, that sounds good in principle, but that's not the way that we use them, right? This is always the scenario given, but very few retail traders successfully trade them in this manner. The problem is it's almost like when you get into options, all of a sudden you realize how complicated it is. If you're driving a car, you're only driving in 2 dimensions. If you get confused, you can just pull over the side of the road, ask for directions, and stop. If you're flying an airplane, you can't do that. You have to do this on the fly. You have to figure things out on the fly, and that's kind of how things are with options. So the options Greeks, which I'm not going to go into here, means that there's a lot of variables that control the pricing of options. The problem is that they will decay down to 0 by the expiration date. When you own a long option, so think of it this way, you're almost like holding an ice cube, getting close to a fire here. And the closer you get to that fire, the faster the ice cube in your hand is going to melt. So it's very common to see a newer options trader enter a long position right when the price bounces higher, and they still lose money or gain very little. So if you want to trade like this, use futures or perpetual swaps. It's a much better instrument for this. Okay, so let's talk about a strategy that works very well with our goal to accumulate more Bitcoin, which is called selling cash secured puts. The correct name for this is cash secured puts and not naked puts. You're going to hear people talk about naked puts. That implies that you don't have enough margin to handle the position. So we want to do this only with an asset that we want to own. And quite frankly, Bitcoin's about the only one that you can do it with crypto right now. You can do it with Ethereum on some brokers out there, and that's possible to do, but Bitcoin is by default the one that we're going to focus on. So this is a great way to be paid for the pullback. Now, what I mean by this is that most of the time we're looking for a pullback for the price running away. We don't want to add it here. We want to wait for the pullback here at this point. But what we can do is we can set out a position and say, I want to get filled, but guess what? I also want to get paid for taking that pullback. Let me demonstrate what this is. So first of all, only trade this strategy on uptrending assets. If you see an asset which is doing something like this, run far away from that. Something that I will always say is wait for something to trend higher before you buy it. Don't go rolling around in the gutter trying to catch the falling knife. So only on uptrending assets. Now there's 2 ways of settlement for this. Again, if this is complicated, watch the video again. You'll get something out of this. Cash settlement, which is European style, is the way that they trade options on Deribit. So that there's no assignment, it's all cash settled at the end of the expiration date. Physical settlement, which is American style options, means that there is assignment of the actual asset. So this is what we want to seek because you physically get settled the Bitcoin contracts in this case, or in this case, the spot asset. So Deribit is European or cash settlement. Ledger X is American physical settlement. I'm not sure what the upcoming players will be. We'll have to wait until they arrive or we can sort them out. So you can sell these put options on pullbacks indefinitely without being assigned. Using this method, I rarely get assigned the spot currency. And I'll show you an example here that I did recently. And then I will send it over to Mav again. So what we did here a couple weeks ago when we were pulling back on Bitcoin was sent a note out to my subscribers saying, I'm going to sell the $45,000 put down here. And this was in the middle of February. Sell the $45,000 put. So I am committed to buying it by the end of March. So I'm going to put a vertical line here for the end of March, which is the expiration date, if the price is at or below there. So I figured after it pulled down that far to a 50% retracement, this was a good bet that this was going to be support, as well as the fact that we had this swing test here. And so that was an aggressive sell at 45,000. And as it turns out, that was about the bottom of where the price was. So if the price goes higher from here, then I can simply close out the position. So what I want to show you now is actually the Ledger X, in this case, interface. I'm going to show you, and again, I'm rushing through this. I'm trying to get you guys a little bit of education here in a short period of time. But when I set up this trade, and this is the March 26th series, I sold this put option. And during the middle of February, when I sold this option, it was $4,800 per contract. $4,800. I'm only talking about 3 weeks ago. Now I can buy it back. I can close this position for somewhere around $700. So I've already netted $4,100 per contract on this for doing absolutely nothing. For doing absolutely nothing. So I'm going to get this out of the way again. I'm going to pull this out of here and show you. Again, this is the point behind this trade, is that you don't have to do anything. What you're looking for is for the option to expire. And either a combination of the price going sideways or up or even down to some degree still means that I win the trade. So this is a strategy for those of you that like to win. This is totally passive income. You just don't have to do anything, right? The whole point here is that you just sit on your hands and just let the time value decay. All right, so that's the only example I'm going to get there. At all times, I do have a get the hell out of price in which I will liquidate the short put. But again, when I want to be a buyer for this, this is important. Okay, so I'm just going to run through there. And what we can also do is turn around if we do get assigned and sell covered calls. I'm not going to have the time to go over that today. So if there is interest, we could talk about that strategy. Next week, I did show you the one example here. What I do want to show you guys is if you're interested, if you want to know more about options, we've got a special deal here for $75 for the masterclass, which is normally $150. If you go out on the website right now, it's $150. It's everything that I know about options condensed into one course. You go to readysetcrypto.com/options. This will be on sale through the weekend for $75. It's a lot of material in there as well. So one thing, just while you're here, I'm also giving a presentation tomorrow at the Mad Hedge Fund Traders and Investors Summit. If you want to attend, what I'm going to do is copy the registration link into the chat room here. I'm going to copy that into the chat room. If you want to attend, it's free, and you can get the replays for all Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday sessions that are out there. Okay, so with that, I will take any questions that you guys have, and we'll get you back to Mav as well. Any questions on options?
Or just, anything
Okay,
in
so
general.
like Steve is asking, can you buy insurance for Bitcoin? Yeah, that would be, there's ways to do that. You can buy tail risk insurance. You can buy out of the money puts. However, the drag on those is usually quite stiff. And so there's ways to finance a complex solution through buying and selling options that creates a volatility hedge to the downside. So again, not something I can explain in the course of this type of avenue, this type of venue, but
there's also
it is
insurance
possible
markets
to do.
for DeFi as well.
So Juan wants to know how do you do this? Well, the way that you do this is you have to learn about it first. So you're not going to learn about this on a YouTube video. You've got to sit down absorb the material, get some experience with that, get some simulated trades in place so that you understand what you're doing. Don't be like everybody else and put your whole account into the first trade and say, okay, well, I have to learn and I'm impatient and I don't want to do this the slow way. I want to do this the fast way. That's usually what people do, and they make a big mistake doing that. Options are something that you need to take your time to learn about, and you need to learn about them the right way the first time. So take your time with them. What I'm telling you guys is that they're working extremely well in today's environment. We have an uptrending market. We have a huge amount of implied volatility. This is an ideal application for something like this. Understand that you're going to win the majority of these trades, right? And even if you, quote unquote, lose a trade, which means you get assigned, that's the whole point behind the trade. That's exactly what it is that you're trying to do. You're trying to get assigned Bitcoin. And so selling the put option out of the money brings in income and allows you a buffer for that. So it's a phenomenal, simple strategy, but you got to do it the right way.
We covered TVK last week, so did cover that one. But meme, I was looking to maybe cover that next week, and they probably have the best website URL that I've ever encountered, which is don'tbuymeme.com. Meme being their token. So very excellent.
Yeah, if there's interest, we could do a full session on options someday. I mean, this is what I do every day. I've got a trading room in the elite service for Ready, Set, Trade, where we trade the equities market. So I'm on an hour every day. We also do 2 coaching sessions during the week at Ready, Set, Trade. I would encourage you, if you want to know more about options, I would also encourage you to go out to elite.readyset.trade. Maybe Mav can type in the address into there and just sign up
top
for
of the
free.
bio.
It's in the bio. Okay, so just sign up for that. It's free. And we're always talking. You've got a whole community of people that are trading options that are in there. You need to surround yourself with people that are doing this constantly. So how long does it take to learn how to trade options? It took me 18 months to quit my job. From the day that I started taking my first class to and understand that I immersed myself. I was like super, I had committed myself to this, period. I was like, this is it. This is my chance to get out of my cubicle, get out of this stupid 9-to-5 job. And it took me 18 months to earn the right to be able to quit my job and do this for a living. But you can get pretty damn good after 6 months if you don't make the mistakes that I did, right? So I took the slow way. It took me 18 months because I had to get all the mistakes out of the way first.
Cool. We probably have time for 1 or 2 more questions, and then we'll let you get off to the rest of your Wednesday here, or Thursday.
Do I like to trade stock options on stocks that represent Bitcoin? No, I trade stock options on stocks where we have opportunities and things like EV, transportation, healthcare, things like that for very specific. I don't try to trade cross things like there's no options on GPTC, which is a current stock, which is kind of mirroring BTC. So I trade Bitcoin options on Bitcoin in that market. It's best to stay with the knitting on that.
It would be interesting though. You're asking if we would take maybe like the Bitcoin miner stocks, the guys that are running miner farms, or some of the other companies like Coinbase is just going public now. So if you wanted to get exposure to the crypto markets through the stocks that are working to expand the crypto space, and let's say you're trading your 401k or something like that, so you're not able to buy Bitcoin directly with that, and instead have to get exposure through the stock market. Yeah, maybe that's a potential way to do that. But obviously, take it with a grain of salt. And I bet they're just as volatile as the overall crypto market too. So yeah, just be careful with those.
How much initial capital required to earn on average $100 a day? Depends on what your skills are.
We wrote a whole course on this.
Yeah, depends on what your skills are. We do have a whole course on how to earn $100 a day. It's going to be different for everybody. It depends on your skills. It depends on how efficient your strategies are. Like it's like asking me how do you make a watch? right? It's going to be different for everybody.
Cool. Let's get one more question and then we'll take off here. But yeah, great questions today, guys, and hope you learned some things. As always, we're here to be educators. We're not here to really shill or anything like that. No one is paying us to talk about coins, which is very different from the rest of the YouTube space. We run a couple services. Ready Set Crypto, obviously, is all about finding opportunity in crypto and being part of a community that doesn't shill, but instead does research and looks for the next big thing. Ready Set Trade is kind of Doc's specialty, and that's more stocks and using options. And eventually, options will come to the crypto markets, as we're talking about today. So, getting ahead of that, learning options in the stock market for when it eventually moves into the crypto space will give you such a leg up over everybody else who's just looking to buy and sell. And then finally, we also just launched Ready Set Vision, which is on-chain analysis. And that's another way to get advantage and edge over everybody else trading Bitcoin right now, because you're looking at the underlying fundamental blockchain data and using that to make statistically, proven sort of decisions as to where Bitcoin's going next, how it's going to affect its overall price, et cetera. For example, the supply is starting to run low on some of the exchanges. So that's kind of pushing up the price right now as there's more and more demand. And then when we get one of those kind of force multiplier events, like stimulus bill passing and everybody taking their $1,400 checks and throwing it at Bitcoin, stuff like that. That's just another example of how you can use sort of the underlying blockchain data to get ahead and outsmart the Bitcoin market. So those are our three major offerings, and they're all kind of free to get in and interact with and learn some things. And yeah, we're here to just help you make the most of this year, find as much opportunity as possible. And yeah, we appreciate you hanging out with us and having some fun here. Hope you learned something. One more question, Doc, you want to take?
No, I think we're good. I think we're good. I think I've answered most of the questions in the chat here. Don't forget to join me tomorrow, guys. So one more time, I'm just going to throw this into the chat. If you click on that link that's in the chat there, you'll get signed up for the Mad Hedge Fund session tomorrow. Again, you don't even need to be there. You can just receive the replays later on and learn about the 0 DTE trade, which is what I'm going to do tomorrow. So 3 times a week in the equity markets, we have options that expire that day, and we're using those to take advantage of those. It's probably our best trade that we do. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you later. Adios, amigos.
Cheers, Amirs, guys.
See ya.